both in Johannesburg and Tshwane, neck and neck with the DA. Obviously, we are in a situation where parties must now negotiate because there is no outright winner. We are not an outright winner in Joburg. They are not an outright winner in Tshwane. So there must be negotiations. We are already talking to other parties, and throughout the weekend we will be busy with that. Are you going to be able to tell us which parties maybe you are in talks with in terms of coalitions there, Mr. Mashatile? Only after we have agreed with them, because people don't like us talking to them when they've not agreed that we can say so. So once we have met throughout the weekend, you will be able to know who we are talking to, but we are open to talk to those who want to talk to us. Look, I'm really interested in this. On what basis would the coalition talks be upon? Is it based upon party dynamics or what, sir? Mainly, I mean, the first priority is to talk to people that traditionally you always work with. But there are also new parties on the block. If you say in Gauteng, for instance, there would be parties that have worked well with us in certain municipalities. In Johannesburg, for instance, we have parties like the IFP who have been working with our comrades there. But there's also now EFF on the block. They are a party to reckon with. So there will be those people that we will talk to, because some of them, their policies are much closer to us than with other parties. Mr. Mashatile, look, of course, the final results are expected much later on today, but in any eventuality, in terms of reorganization of party structures across the country, what stance will the party take? Are there any talks in relation to this at this stage? Well, at the moment, we are focusing in Gauteng, because you see, if you look at the situation in Johannesburg and Tshwane, if parties don't agree, you basically have hung councils, and that's a big challenge, because it means you are not able to proceed. You might be forced into an election again. So it's important that parties should talk. But certainly where we are happy that people came up in big numbers. The fact that there are these challenges and close calls, so to speak, that no party has an outright majority, for me, it's good for democracy. I think we shouldn't panic about it. Mr. Mashatile, look, nationally, the ruling party, speaking of challenges, it did gross the majority of above 50% so far in terms of the vote support. Now, some party officials have said that these figures are a cause for concern. The Deputy President, Cyril Ramaphosa, yesterday saying that the party will learn from its mistakes. What could potentially these mistakes be? We have to reflect on that. You see, one thing on the election, you don't on the first day say, we think this was a problem. You go back and analyze, you look at the results in all the areas, but also you engage with the voters. If you see that in a particular area, people didn't really come out to vote in big numbers, you go back there and ask them what the issues are, because then you'll get the real facts and you are able to re-strategize. So I agree with the Deputy President that the ANC need to reflect, must not rush into conclusion, and do a correct introspection, and we should be hard with ourselves where we think we have made mistakes, accept that, go back to the people. We must continue to be a listening organization, because the people have not necessarily abandoned us, but they have not given us big majorities where we needed them, but they are still there. Look, let's talk about that. I mean, the election outcome, I know it's not final as of now, but do some of the results in some of the areas really surprise you, particularly in Gauteng? Yeah, obviously, I was expecting a much bigger lead in Joburg, because our team has been doing very well under Pakstau. But I can say that in areas which are our strongholds, although we have won most of the wards there, but the numbers were not too high in terms of voter turnout. So when it comes to the PR list, it pulls you down. But if you look at the districts, for instance, we're doing quite pretty well in most of those areas in the districts, in the Western, Sidibeng. But the challenge, the biggest fight was for the metros. And we knew that. I think everybody did say it's going to be a hotly contested election, particularly in the metros. Even though a day ago we thought we are going over 50% in Ekurhuleni, we see we are still around 48, 49. So it shows that it was a tough election.
Mr. Mashatile, looking at some of the results, let's extend on that point. What could the ruling party have done differently, particularly to try and get those people out in their numbers to go and vote for the ruling party?
Well, one of the things we kept saying to our people was that they should come early to vote.
Yes.
I know that there are some areas where at 6:30 people were still streaming to the voting station, and some stations, they were closing already by the time people come. So the message to our people is that when there's an election, please come vote early. But also there's a tendency in some areas where people think, you know what, we have won already. Even if I don't go and vote, the ANC is a big organization. In an election, every vote counts. And that's the message that must go out to our people. Don't think that others will do it for you. Every vote counts, and we want them to come. But perhaps there may be those who stay back deliberately because they are not happy. We must go back and engage with them and find out why and how we can deal with their issues. We must continue to show that we care, we listen, and I'm sure we'll get those votes back.
Absolutely. Speaking of votes, now you will be preparing for the next elections, of course. And of course, where will your main focus be in terms of campaigning and trying to get your supporters behind you all the way to the polls?
I think for the next elections, our focus is going to be on jobs. When we moved around during these local government elections, we found that there are many who are complaining about not working, even though we have given them opportunities to have houses like RDP houses and so on. They would still raise this issue of unemployment, particularly about young people. So if you were to ask me what should the ANC do in the next 5 years or before 2019, we need to grow the economy, grow it faster, create employment, make sure that more young people have requisite skills to be absorbed by the economy. I think that's where our focus is going to be.
Mr. Mashatile, thank you so much for your time, sir, and good luck for the results later on this evening. That is ANC Gauteng Provincial Chairperson, Mr. Paul Mashatile, talking to us live here on AM News. We're going to take a quick ad break. More news after that.